$40. That is what a single bag of premium grass seed costs now, and you have probably bought 3 of them this year alone. Picture it. It is a Saturday morning in late spring. The coffee is still warm. The air smells like cut grass 2 doors down, and you walk out barefoot onto your own lawn to enjoy it, and then you feel it, the crunch, the dry, brittle, straw-colored patches that spread across your yard like a rash, the bare spots near the driveway, the thin yellow stripes that no amount of watering seems to fix. You stand there, and that good feeling drains right out of your chest. And here is the thing nobody in that big box garden aisle will ever tell you. The friendly associate who pointed you toward the most expensive bag of seed and the biggest spreader on the shelf is not lying to you exactly. He is just selling you the same loop you have been stuck in for years. Buy seed, spread it, water it, watch most of it do nothing, buy more next spring, start over. Year after year after year, the same brown lawn, the same wasted weekends, the same money down the drain, while your neighbor's grass stays thick and green and you cannot figure out what he knows that you do not. And I want to be very clear about something. Most people try to fix an ugly lawn by doing exactly 3 things. They dump down more seed, they water it every single day, and when that fails, they rip the whole thing up and start over with a rototiller. All 3 of those feel productive. All 3 of those feel like real work. And all 3 of them are the reason your lawn never actually changes. The patch comes back, the yellow returns, the money disappears, and nothing, season after season, ever truly gets better. So here is what I am going to show you. I am going to show you how to fix an ugly lawn in one single season without replanting the whole thing and without ever touching a tiller. We are going to split this into 2 completely different problems because an ugly lawn is almost never just one issue, and treating it like one issue is why your fixes never hold. The first problem is the thin, patchy, bare spot lawn that looks starved. The second is the lawn that looks like it is dying in random spots even though you are doing everything right. And then, at the very end, there is one final approach. One thing that the entire reason this video exists is to show you. It is the single move that stops both problems from ever coming back. I am not going to name it yet, but if you stay with me, by the end, you will know exactly why your lawn has been fighting you and exactly how to make it stop. But before any of that, let me ask you one simple question. You have always believed that bare patches mean you need more seed, right? What if I told you that on most lawns, the seed was never the problem at all? Part 1 is the lawn most of you are actually staring at right now, and that is the thin, patchy, hungry-looking lawn full of bare spots. And we start here because it is the most common and the most emotionally crushing version of the problem. Here is what you instinctively do. You see a bare patch, so you grab the seed bag, you throw a generous handful right onto that bare dirt, you give it a splash of water, and you walk away feeling like you just solved it. It feels logical. Bare spot, add seed, problem fixed. Except 2 weeks later, that patch looks exactly the same, and now you are convinced you bought bad seed. Here is the truth about what is actually happening beneath your feet. Grass seed needs firm contact with living soil to germinate, and it needs that contact to stay moist for the first 21 days straight. When you toss seed onto a hard, compacted, bare patch, you are dropping it onto what is essentially a parking lot. The soil there is so packed down that the seed cannot root into it. The top layer dries out in a couple of hours under the sun. Birds eat a third of what you scattered before lunch. And the small amount that does sprout sends a root down half an inch, hits concrete hard earth, and dies of thirst. Soil compaction can squeeze the airspace in your dirt down to almost nothing, and grass roots need that air as much as they need water. So that bare patch is not bare because it lacks seed, it is bare because the soil underneath it is suffocating. And here is the reframe that changes everything. You do not have a seed problem, you have a soil problem wearing a seed costume. So let me give you the correct method from the simplest thing you can do this weekend to the more advanced fix. Start with the simplest move of all, and that is a hand rake and a bag of compost. Take a stiff garden rake and scratch up that bare patch until the top half inch of soil is loose and crumbly, not smooth. That loosening alone gives seed somewhere to grab. Then spread a thin layer of compost over it, about a 1/4 inch, no more. Compost is alive. It is full of microbes and holds many times its own weight in water, so it keeps your seed moist through that critical 3-week window instead of letting it bake. This costs you maybe $6 for a bag and 20 minutes of work. The next step up is core aeration, and this is the one that quietly transforms a thin lawn faster than anything else. A core aerator is a machine that pulls thousands of little plugs of soil out of your lawn, each about 3 inches deep and the width of your finger. You can rent one for around $70 for half a day, or split the rental with a neighbor and pay $35 each. When you pull those cores, you instantly relieve the compaction that has been choking your roots. Air rushes in. Water can finally soak down instead of running off. And here is the trick most people miss. You aerate first, then you spread your seed immediately after, because every one of those thousands of holes is a perfect little protected pocket of loose, moist soil where seed germinates at a far higher rate than it ever could on the surface. That is how you go from throwing seed onto pavement to planting it in thousands of tiny nurseries all at once. And the most advanced version of this is overseeding the entire lawn, not just the patches, with the right seed for your region at the right rate. For a cool season lawn, that is roughly 3 to 4 pounds of seed per 1,000 square feet, spread in 2 passes at right angles so you get even coverage. Do this in the early fall if you possibly can, because the soil is still warm from summer, but the air is cool, and that combination germinates grass faster than spring while giving it a full season to establish before the next summer tries to kill it. Now understand exactly what is at stake if you keep getting this wrong. Every spring you skip the soil and just throw seed, you lose that whole season. The patch does not fill in, so the weeds move into that open dirt instead, because nature never leaves bare soil empty. Then next year you are not just reseeding, you are fighting weeds in the same spot, and you spend $40 on seed and another $30 on weed killer to fix a patch that 1 bag of compost would have closed. You pay twice, sometimes 3 times, for the same square foot of ground. And the one universal prevention tip for all of it is simple. Never ever put seed on bare soil without loosening that soil first. Scratch it open. Give the roots air. That single habit will do more than any premium seed you ever buy. And look, if this is exactly the kind of thing nobody bothers to tell you in the garden aisle, do me one quick favor and subscribe, because this is what every single video on this channel does. We explain the mechanism, not just the chore. That is the whole point of this place. One tap, and then let us get right back into it. And if you want to go even deeper than what fits in a single video, I put together a complete field-level resource called the Amish Lawn Guide and the Amish Soil Guide, also available as the Complete Amish Yard Field Edition, which covers every one of these soil, seed, and watering systems in full detail, the way a working yard is actually managed from the ground up. It is available for $97, and the link is in the description below. Thousands of people have used it to finally break the loop of wasted seed and wasted weekends, and it goes exactly as deep as this channel does. No filler, just the mechanism. Part 2 is a completely different animal, because now we are talking about the lawn that looks like it is dying in patches, even though you are doing everything right. And that is technically a separate problem from a thin lawn, which is exactly why fixing the soil alone will not save you here. So let me give you the thesis straight. If your grass is turning yellow or brown and spreading shapes while you are watering it faithfully, you are almost certainly not starving that lawn. You are drowning it, burning it, or feeding something that is eating it. Here is the universal mistake nearly everyone makes in this exact situation. The lawn looks stressed, so you water it more. More water, more often, every single evening. And that one well-meaning decision can quietly destroy a lawn over the course of a few weeks. Because shallow, frequent watering trains your grass roots to stay near the surface where the water is, instead of diving deep where they belong. Then when a hot, dry spell hits, those shallow roots cook in the top inch of soil, and the whole lawn collapses at once. Worse, constant evening moisture sitting on the blades overnight is the single best way to invite fungus, and lawn fungus can turn a green yard into brown rings and patches in under 2 weeks. So the fix you reached for is often the very thing accelerating the damage. Let me give you the methods from the cheapest first move to the one a professional would reach for last. Method 1, and this costs you nothing, is to completely change how you water. Stop watering every day. Instead, water deeply and infrequently, about 1 inch of water per week total, delivered in just 2 soakings and always in the early morning between 6 and 10. Here's why it works mechanically. A deep soak pushes water 6 inches down into the soil, and roots chase that water downward, building a deep root system that survives heat. Watering in the morning means the blades dry off in the sun within an hour, so fungus never gets the long wet night it needs to spread. To measure that 1 inch, put an empty tuna can on the lawn while the sprinkler runs and stop when it is full. That little can is the cheapest lawn tool you will ever own. Method 2 is to actually identify what is causing the brown, because brown is a symptom, not a diagnosis, and treating the wrong cause wastes your whole summer. Pull hard on a brown patch with your hand. If the grass lifts up like a loose toupee with no roots underneath, you have grubs, the fat white larvae, eating your roots from below. If the grass stays firmly anchored but the blades are discolored in rings or spots, you are looking at fungus. For grubs, a granular treatment with the right active ingredient applied in mid to late summer, when the larvae are young and feeding near the surface, costs around $25 and stops the damage cold. For fungus, easing off the water, mowing a little higher, and applying a lawn fungicide labeled for your specific disease breaks the cycle. The point is, you look first, then you treat. You do not guess. Method 3 is the one a professional reaches for, and that is correcting your soil chemistry with a soil test. For around $15 to $20, you mail a small cup of your soil to a testing lab, and a couple of weeks later, you get back the exact pH and the exact nutrients your lawn is missing. This matters more than almost anything, because grass cannot absorb nutrients if the pH is wrong. If your soil is too acidic, sitting below 6 on the pH scale, your grass literally cannot take up the nitrogen you are paying for, no matter how much fertilizer you dump on. You could be spreading $40 of fertilizer that the soil chemistry is locking away where the roots cannot reach it. The fix is often a bag of lime to raise pH, or a touch of sulfur to lower it, costing under $15 to correct an entire lawn. That is the move that separates someone guessing from someone who actually knows what their lawn is hungry for. And notice the pattern across all three. Most people throw money at the symptom on top. But actually, the real cause is almost always underneath in how you water, what is living in the soil, and the chemistry of the dirt itself. Part 3, prevention. And this is the one I sealed at the very beginning. The single approach this entire video was built around, so here it is. The one move that stops both the bare patches and the dying patches from ever coming back is top dressing your lawn with a thin layer of quality compost once a year. That is it. That is the secret your green lawn neighbor probably does not even realize he stumbled into. Here's why it works mechanically in one sentence. A 1/4 inch layer of compost spread across the whole lawn feeds billions of soil microbes that break up compaction naturally, hold moisture through dry spells, and slowly release the exact nutrients grass needs, which fixes the starving lawn and the stressed lawn at the same root cause. The material is simple, screened, finished compost, and you apply it by spreading it thin across the lawn in early fall and then dragging it down into the grass with the back of a rake or a stiff broom so it settles to the soil and never smothers the blades. Do this one thing every year and you will stop buying seed by the truckload and stop spraying chemicals to chase problems, easily saving yourself $100 to $200 every single season, not to mention a dozen wasted weekends. So here is which one is for you, plainly. If your lawn is thin and patchy with bare dirt showing through, your move is aeration in the fall, followed by overseeding because you need to open that soil and get living roots into it. If your lawn looks like it is dying and spreading spots while you water it, your move is to fix your watering to 1 inch twice a week in the morning, then diagnose grubs versus fungus before you spend a dime on treatment. And no matter which camp you are in, every single one of you should be top dressing with compost once a year, because that is the habit that makes every other fix permanent instead of temporary. Now, here is the new problem that is going to show up the moment you start doing all of this right. Once you aerate, overseed, fix your watering, and top dress, your grass is going to grow thicker and faster than it has in years. And that thick new growth is going to bring on a thatch layer, a spongy mat of dead and living material that builds up between the green blades and the soil. And if you let that thatch get past 1/2 inch thick, it starts blocking water and air all over again, and you are right back where you started, except now it is hidden under healthy looking grass. So if you are already noticing a spongy, bouncy feel when you walk across your lawn, drop a comment below and just type the word thatch so I know how many of you are dealing with it. The very next video is going to show you exactly how to dethatch the right way without tearing your lawn to shreds, and the difference between doing it in the right season and the wrong season. Subscribe so that one lands in front of you the day it goes up, because if you skip it, that thatch will quietly undo everything you just worked for. Get the soil right, water deep, feed it compost, and that ugly lawn turns green in one season. Then come back, and we will keep it that way. And before you go, let me give you one more thing that nobody hands you in that garden aisle, because it is the quiet mistake that undoes even a perfectly fed lawn. Your mower, most people set the blade low and scalp the lawn short because it feels like you mow less often that way. But actually, cutting grass too short is one of the fastest ways to invite back every problem we just solved. Here is the mechanism. The blade of grass is the engine. It is where photosynthesis happens, where the plant makes the food it sends down to the roots. When you scalp it to an inch, you cut off most of that engine, the roots shrink to match, and the bare soil between the stubby blades gets blasted by sun, which dries it out and wakes up every weed seed sitting there waiting. Raise your mower deck to around 3 inches for most cool season grasses, and never cut more than a third of the blade height in a single pass. Taller grass shades the soil, keeps it cool and moist, smothers weeds before they sprout, and grows the deepest roots of all. That one adjustment, which costs you nothing and takes 10 seconds, protects every dollar and every weekend you just invested. And here is the last piece of the puzzle, the part that ties it all together. Leave your grass clippings on the lawn instead of bagging them. I know it feels messy, but those clippings are nearly 10% nitrogen by weight, and they break down within a couple of weeks. Feeding your lawn for free and cutting your fertilizer bill by as much as a quarter every year. They do not cause thatch, despite what you have been told, because they decompose far too fast. So mow high, water deep, top dress once a year, and let those clippings fall. Do that, and the lawn that crunched under your bare feet this spring will be the one your neighbor starts asking about by fall.